me tell you this. The place from whence I came, it stands aloof, but it is not alone. It is here to serve those who have served. It is a veterans medical facility. It is a home for the brave. Now, first to be noticed is that the corridors are well traveled and are absent of pretense, and for years and years it has been dispensing medical care to those who have served this nation's military. But no longer does it see veterans from World War I. No longer is there anyone here to reminisce over the Battle of the Marne, the Argonne Forest, the Canal du Nord. There's no one to take us back to the blood-soaked trenches of Verdun or Gallipoli. No one to speak of the dead in Flanders Fields or even to sing Lily Marlene. All the valiant old souls now have moved on. Now, all the valiant old souls from the world's first great war, 10 years ago, are gone now. Their deeds are relegated to the nightfall of history. They are being replaced by veterans of other wars, largely from World War II they come. But I am told even those tested old hands are dying at the rate of nearly 2,000 a day. Still from that war, the world's largest war, along these corridors, many of them move. Many who fought the good fight on land, sea, and air, and in faces as far, far away as Berlin, Rome, and Tokyo. Along these corridors of sacrifice and undying courage, you might come across a former battery commander, a submariner, a Tuskegee Airman, or the gunner's mate from the big war. You might come across one who survived the Pearl Harbor but was crippled in the Philippines, or find one who had been wounded in El Alamein only to go on to serve in the snow. You might find one who captained a ship at Corregidor and another who dared bring his vessel closer to the beach for the landing at Normandy. If not them, see even one steady hands of a surgeon who served on Saipan. The one who continued to operate while the bombs were falling and the machine gun fire would not stop. And see, too, the lined face of a veteran nurse who, in the face of a vile and sadistic enemy that approached in Tobruk, she refused to leave her surgeon's side, but she lived to suffer horrors too repulsive to recall. And here you might find one from communications who struggled to keep his comrade alive during the death march in Bataan, just as you might discover the face of a midshipman, a Navajo code talker, a Coast Guardsman, or the unsung young Marine who helped unfurl the flag on the island that was secured after Iwo Jima. And now tarry a bit. Tarry a bit and see one whose music swelled when the big war was over. And then see one of thousands whose music thrilled and thrilled again as the troops were welcomed back to the docks in victory. Oh, that joyous time when peace came and hope was restored, and the celebrations all over this land would not stop. And you see others who served on the home front along these corridors, others who did not see battle or even serve across the seas, but were nonetheless dedicated to the cause in history's greatest war. Support personnel that were called wrong. Miracle workers is what they were. And then help me here. And then from my war, from the forgotten war, from the Korean War, along these passageways of duty, honor, and sacrifice, you might come across a bombardier, a shell-shocked paratrooper, a former POW, or even a general too feeble to remember a long-gone command. And see, too, the aging foot soldier who found God, and the atheist who found God in a bunker, and the corpsman who questioned that same God as he held his comrade's stiffening body. They all fought the good fight, these souls will tell you. They fought for freedom. Our freedom. In this duty-bound building in service of those who serve the nation in peace and war, You might come across the jeep driver, the tank operator, the artillery man to cover the critical. How about the one from supply who fought to stave off an enemy who had broken through barbed wire lines at Old Baldy and swept a man and killed without mercy. And then somewhere too, thinking he's back in the old hometown, you might come across another of yesterday's forgotten, say the cook or the ammo bearer, or the one from the signal corps, the one whose mind is blank, the one whose sanity deserted him even before the start of one of Korea's never to be remembered battles. I say to you, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. It has not been without cost. Pick another veterans medical facility, and you might find a mechanic deceiving the sailor, or you might find a medic who would not stop giving aid to the fallen as others were falling around them, and then look around you, I say. You see, if they're not here, they've been here. God's emissaries. The preacher, the priest, the rabbi. They've been here because everywhere the troops went, every time and every place there was an American in battle, there they were, unflinching in the line of duty, unarmed virtually, except for the word of God, filled with faith, hope, and charity, counseling and consoling even when the dying knew that all was lost. Chaplains, they were called wrong. Unsung heroes is what they were and who they are. You look for my brother, the Vietnam veteran. He's here in this home for the brave. In regrettable numbers they are. The one I see is moving along the corridor in a wheelchair festooned with two tiny American flags vying for an unreachable ceiling. Ribbons and medals pinned to rumpled pajamas, an overseas cap covering thinning hair. He is being pushed along as though he didn't have a care in the world. But if he were a weaker man, a care he would have. Well, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He is both legless and he is armless. Without a complaint to be heard from him, continue on and I'll show you the Vietnam veteran who was suffering from Agent Orange. Then I'll show you another one who is afflicted with post-traumatic stress disorder. He is still talking to himself after all these years. After all these years, he is still seeking answers. Move with me just a little bit more, and I will show you the Vietnam veteran. Oh yes, I'll show you the Vietnam veteran who cannot see you, the blind one who once captained a helicopter and who time after time he set that chopper down in the most God-forsaken of places, each time to rescue the wounded, to save somebody who answered the call for freedom, to save somebody who sought to make this whole world a better place. Move with me just a little bit more. And I want to show you a young woman who stood for freedom in Libya. Or perhaps I'll show you a young man, perhaps a National Guardsman or reservist who did the same in the Philippines or in Panama. You might find young men who did the same in Bosnia, Haiti, Zaire, Albania, Afghanistan, Yugoslavia. The list goes on, ladies and gentlemen. The list goes on, the list goes on, because my country stand, your country stand, our country stand has stood without end. And if you were to walk these long, long corridors of duty, of honor, of gallantry, long enough, you might hear what I heard. A young soldier, a young black boy at the end of the corridor saying, "Hey, old soldier, don't forget me. I fought in Operation Iraqi Freedom." And then he looks to his nurse who is holding him up, and he says, Mom, was I in Fallujah, or was I in Kandahar, or was I with General Schwarzkopf, or was I with my black commander, Joan Brooks War in Kuwait. Like so many of us, he is no longer able to make the distinction, but he is today's hero. And wounded though he is, he is proud to have fought the good fight, proud to have served a great country. These halls know. They know too, this young man will be the first to say, as those who have served before him have said, we dedicate our lives and all that we are and all that we have with the pride of those who know that America is privileged to spend her blood and her might for the principles that gave her birth. Yeah. God helping her. Yeah. God helping her. She can do no other. I thank you one and all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James McCutcheon, an old soldier on new mission. Silver Star, multiple wounds, Purple Heart, veteran of the Korean War, an accomplished actor, award-winning author, United States Reserve Ambassador Emeritus, keynote speaker, today an outstanding patriot.
Thank you.
James, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. To all the veterans in the house, that was a very, very special salute to each of you. Starting with Mr. Stone, who has served well in our country, and Chairman of the board Gaines. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, James. He will be joining us again in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, now, we're so proud that you're here this evening.